Well, let's move on to the next panel discussion, which is about human resource and skill development, creating professional for sustainable growth of exhibition industry. I invite on stage Mr. Sanjeev Kumar Agarwal, the moderator of this panel discussion, Chairman and CEO of Fairfest Media Limited. I also invite our panel members, Mr. David Dubois, President and CEO, IAEE, Mr. Dilip Chenoy, MD and CEO, National Skill Development Corporation, Mr. Mehrnosh Ditya, Director, Lighthouse Training Academy, Mr. Praveen Joshi, Director, National Academy of Event Management and Development, Mr. Raghav Khosla, Editor-in-Chief, Exhibition Showcase, Mr. Ong Wee Min, Honorary Secretary, SASHIOS.
Very good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I believe this is the most important session of 2 days. Why do I think so? Because I believe and hope you would agree that an industry is only as good as the people behind it. And in our industry, who are the people? We don't see too many young faces. So probably it's time that we take this issue head on. Are we doing it right for HR and education in this department? What is the standard qualification to join this industry? Is there any? These are topics we would discuss. We have a very eminent panel from abroad and also from India. You have interacted with most of them, so I will not waste too much time in introducing them. There is a long introduction given for each one of them in the pamphlets which have been already distributed. So, I would go take a little detour to say a couple things about myself, why I think I am not so qualified or qualified to moderate this session. About 25 years back, in 1989, at famous or so infamous Pragati Maidan, there was a course called Certificate in Trade Fair Management. And we were amongst a few very bright boys and, of course, girls. We were doing this course for 6 months, staying there in Pragati Maidan. I have 2 or 3, classmates from that course here. And we stole canteen food and, a lot of other things. Probably I had my first fling with my ex-girlfriend there. This was 25 years back. So, been there, done that kind of a guy. So that's what probably qualifies me to conduct this session. Welcome to the session on HR and education development for the industry. So I would like to start with a very eminent guest from North America. You all know David Dubois. We would first like to hear from him. How do you do it in America and elsewhere? How do you train people for the industry? David?
Good afternoon. I'm just going to spend a few minutes talking about the U.S. workforce, and what I want to do is to share just a couple of things with you, and then suggest that the leadership of IEIA be available to let us present this information that could help you as you develop your workforce strategies across India. About 30% of the U.S. workforce, as you said, are facing retirement in the next 5 years. So what we did is we identified the gaps and desires that are very similar to what we've heard over the last 2 days to attract, recruit, and retain younger, skilled workers, and certainly that conveys to bringing them to our events. So in 2012, we developed a job analysis study, which is available to IEIA, and I offer to Mr. Kumar and to Raj in the leadership of IEIA the opportunity for our Vice President of Education, who has a master's in education, to take you through this potential model that could indeed support what you're already doing in India, because I don't want to assume what I don't know about what's already been done. So we did an analysis through a survey, and we were able to identify the various tasks performed by various job functions and then the knowledge needed to adequately perform those tasks. So we developed job descriptions for roles of ladies and gentlemen in the exhibition industry, and we came up with 6 job categories. We came up with 4 different experience levels within those 6 job categories. And then we also looked at some of the variances that are very important, given the IAE membership, for example, is 62% women. So the opportunity for us to reach out and work with the ladies who are indeed making our industry a career opportunity is very, very important. So briefly, the 6 job categories were students, event and trade show staff, more the operations people, the ladies and gentlemen who are management, so once again, students, operations coordinators for the most part, trade show management, sales management, which obviously is a unique skill set that not everybody has, overall event management at a high level, basically the account director or account manager that's assigned to be the point person for an exhibition, and then certainly the executive staffs. The 4 levels of experience are somewhat similar: student, novice, mid-management, and executive. And I'll stop there by saying that we then develop all of our educational offerings at IAE around those categories and those skill levels. So the 80 workshops that we do at our annual meeting every December, each of them were assigned and tied to the skill sets and the level of responsibility within an association. So I'll stop there and we'll go from there.
So that's so nice to know that you have a structure in place and you have a professional accreditation. So now I would call upon Mr. Wee Min to present that. How do you do it in Singapore?
I do the traditional way. Can you help me hook up my laptop, please? Thank you.
Please. So while they set up, any comment from the panel?
It's very interesting what you've just pointed out, David, because I come from the learning and development industry, and I have worked across industries, and my recent tenure was with healthcare, where we covered everyone from the ground duty staff all the way to the senior doctors and the management. And the categories that you put across is bang on. It's exactly how we looked at it. Rather, when I went in, I structured the entire thing for them, and that's how we looked at it. In fact, I had reached out to the student body in Delhi, because I'm based there right now. And in fact, a lot of institutes have started hospital management. And the first thing that we were kind of looking at is how can we equip the students when they graduate, that they are fine-tuned or customized to take on the industry they're going to get into. And thereby, you know, it cuts time, it cuts cost for those employers, and they hit the ground with the wheels running. So I buy what you say, and I think it makes a lot of sense.
Thank you. So here, Mr. Wee Min.
David, in Singapore, we didn't have the resources open to us like IAE. We left the gap analysis to the government. So many years ago, we asked the government to have a look at the gap analysis with regards to training and resource allocation within the trade show and meetings industry. And they came up very similarly to what IAE had come up with. And we broke it up into 2 parts. So basically, we left the student training. So we have a diploma, we have 5 polytechnics that provides diploma training in event management in various levels that caters for technical staff. And in the university level, we have got 2 university courses, local university courses that cater to the degree component of it. And we found there was a slight gap. we found that there was a gap between theory and exact execution. And when you put that into perspective of the Singapore exhibition industry, it's a little bit unique. It started in 1976, relatively new, and as a result of that, there was a very strong group of core exhibition organizers. Some of you may know them. Stephen Tan from Singapore Exhibition Services, Edward Liu from SAMS, Jimmy Lau from Experia, used to be from REIT. And these were the people that brought the Singapore exhibition industry to a new level. And then there was a gap in training, there was a gap in education that resulted in a gap in in a competent level of project directors, project managers. And when the government came in with the analysis and they started to put in education, it created a very broad-based skill trainings for new people coming into industry. So if you look at competency in terms of training and education in the Singapore exhibition and events industry, it's all concentrated at the top for all the knowledge and all the combat experience. In the middle, a little bit, and then very broad-based because they receive all this education from the government. The association then sat down with the government to actually look at what we could do as a whole. And we came up with the concept of accreditation. We want to make sure that every single one professional within the exhibition and meetings industry in Singapore goes through a certain number of accreditation points, make them go through sessions like this, where they can learn from panels. And we ask ourselves 3 fundamental questions. Doctors go through accreditation, accountants go through accreditation, and in Singapore, a security guard cannot be a security guard without accreditation. So if you have these 3 professions at various levels going through accreditation, what more for professional exhibition organizer? What more for professional conference and exhibition center management? What more for professional convention organizer? So we came up with a 3-step story. We said with accreditation comes increased value perception, not only for the company, but for the individual. And with that comes regional leadership. Singapore is very small. We are 42 kilometers across, 25 kilometers north-south. The joke is if you drive for an hour, you drop right into the water, either direction. So in such a small country, we said there's only so much we could do in terms of business leadership, all right? Because we have a very small population base, we have a very small land mass, we have no hinterland. The only way is to extend that leadership through thought leadership. And it is through accreditation that we want to capture the experience from the top, the combat experience that people like Edward, Jimmy, people like Stephen, Rosalind, Lilies, all these people, all these veterans they have, capture that, put it into the context of theory so that theory could be mixed with real combat experience. And it slowly, over time, it will become a virtuous, self-sustaining ecosystem. Then we looked at the type of accreditation that we could possibly have. The first step of the strategy was IAEE's CEM accreditation. So we, through Edward, who's a dear friend of yours, we got the franchise for the CEM accreditation in Singapore. That took care of the trade show end of the market. We looked at the meetings end of the market. We looked at the CMP accreditation. That took about 6 years of hard work, background hard work, setting up an exam center in Singapore, setting up a system in Singapore, setting up the necessary trainers, and that has become the basis of our training. Now, we looked at accreditation then, CMP and CM forming the accreditation. What happens before that? What happens to the people who just come out of school, went through 1 or 2 years of sales experience within a PEO company, a PCO company, or a convention center? What happens to them? There's a gap. And therefore, we said every single entry level, we hope to push every single entry-level student or entry-level partner within the industry through one of these, in black, one of these 3 courses: the professional conference management course, which is the basic level course, professional exhibition management course, which is again a basic level course, and a PEVM course, which deals with event agencies and event companies doing gala dinners and dinner and dances. So that forms a foundation, a very solid foundation from people coming out from school with a relevant training, people attending these foundation courses to give them the combat experience, and then moving up into continuing education. So things like this, Singapore Mines Forum is the equivalent of the IEIA Open Seminar. So if a person this year attends the Singapore Mines Forum, they get points. They get accreditation points. They get, I think, 11.75 points. You need 25 points to qualify for the CMP program. Right? So we linked everything together into one whole environment. So everything we do, be it a forum, be it a course, be it a management course, be it a AIPC summit, which we are working in partnership with AIPC. AIPC is the International Association for Congress Centers. So people like Hyderabad, people like ourselves, we are members. Ourselves and my day job, I work for Marina Bay Sands. We are a 2,500 room hotel and a huge convention center. So while the CEM and the CMP serves the meetings and trade shows component, there's a gap in the exhibition center, convention center management. We need to bring that up to speed. So we're working with international partners again to bring in an Asia Summit, and that will earn points towards it. And we circling everything, linking everything up is what we call the CEU environment. CEU stands for Continuing Education Units. We already do a lot of things before all this started. Like you, we run events. Like you, we have industry involvement. Like you, we have seminars, workshops, conferences, and online resources. But they are standalone. They are components and they're not linked up. So people could attend all this and they just attend, have a nice time in a gala dinner, or receive some knowledge from the speaker or panel, and there's no benefit to them personally. We link all of them up now through a CEU environment. Every single person attending an event that's organized within Singapore by SASIOS will gain points. Will gain points leading to professional accreditation. This gives them the purpose, the reason, and the push to raise demand for courses. And in the center will be the association. So in this aspect, you could replace the word SASIOS, replace the background picture with India, replace the word SASIOS with IEIA, and you have immediately a sustainable pro-education, not only pre-industry education, but also post-industry and continuing education framework all together in one. So this is how we do it in Singapore. We try to give purpose. We are very pragmatic. So if we want to send someone to a meeting, we say, wow, I'm going to lose that team member for 2 days or 3 days. The cost may be $1,000, but losing that person, wow, I can't afford it, right? So we put this in. The reason why we put a CEU environment in is to give purpose. Purpose not only for the companies to want to send their staff. For my team, all of my team by 2015 will be CMP or CEM certified. And those of them who already have CMP will be CEM certified. This is to drive knowledge. So we want to, as the biggest player within Singapore, we want to push the envelope to all other companies so that their people will want to be trained as well. We want the demand to come from ground up, not just from company, not just from association, nor from government. Only when the movement is actually broad-based, coming from ground up, from an individual coming to me and say, hey, I want to attend this course because I want to be accredited. Only when we achieve this, would we have a true sustainable ecosystem.
Thank you. Thank you. So, wonderful. We heard the global perspective and the American perspective stretching to our neighborhood, Asia, Singapore. And let us hear from Katharina. She's the COO of Meshe Munich, based in Mumbai, and she was also in charge of HR of that company. So how do Europeans do it? Is it any different? I would request not more than 5 minutes, very briefly. How do you do it?
Yeah, in Germany we have a different approach. It's a very hands-on, let's say, practical approach. So we have 2 ways to gain experience and professional experience in the trade show or in the exhibition industry. There's this dual training, as we call it in Germany. This is, you do a 3 years training after you have finalized your education at school. And you choose an exhibition company, and once a week you go to a professional school where you get the theoretical basis. And then during those 3 years, you go through different departments within a trade show company. So you're 3 months, you're in the sales department, 3 months, you're in the operations department, 3 months, you're in the marketing department, and maybe 3 months, you are in the finance and the HR department. So you get a very, very broad perspective. What is exhibition all about? You're not only focusing on marketing or sales, but you really get the full picture of a show, and then very often you're also working in one project to really see all the different angles. This is more sort of the practical approach. And then we have the more, let's say, academic approach, where you go to a so-called University of Applied Science, as we call. So you also choose a company, an exhibition company, where you spend 3 months within the company. You're again in different departments, HR, marketing, sales, and the project. Then you go 3 months to the university. You go back for 3 months in the company, again back to the university. So it's a very, very good mixture between the theoretical basis and the practical approach. And after 3 years, you have a so-called BA, Bachelor of Exhibition Management. And I think this is a very sort of really good hands-on training. And when these people come from the university, you really can use them immediately. So there's no really time waste of you educating them, because they get their education during those 3 years. And I think this is something we really would need here in India as well.
Wonderful. So it's quite interesting that it's quite an alternative approach based on apprenticeship and university. So, one could do a BA or MBA in exhibition management. Is it likewise in US? Can you do an MBA in exhibition management? Unlikely. In Singapore? Unlikely. Not yet, So that's very interesting that we get two sort of divergent approach, and probably open to us, here in India, and probably a blended model where, our boys and girls could be a BA or BBA or MBA with a specialization in exhibition and meetings, or they could go like our chartered accountants and some other professionals who take exams to become a certified professional. Very, very interesting. Now, may I ask Praveen, you do a course in event management, So how do you do it, very briefly, about 2 or 3 minutes.
Sir, first time I'm hearing very good discussion about education on event management and exhibition. Being in the education industry in event management from last 11 years, we started 3 years back keeping in mind one very specific area, that was exhibition, or you can say MICE as a complete industry. And we started with the degree programs of BBA in event management and MBA in event management.
Wow.
We are offering the BBA and MBA in event management with a recognized university, because that is the education structure of our India. Previously, we used to have only the diploma courses. Now, while dealing with the diploma courses, we found one major problem. That was, we are just dealing with the student and we are teaching the student about the execution, or you can say that operations related areas. Now, the demand is changing from the industry, and majority of the time our students get absorbed by the industries like entertainment, absorbed by the sports management industry, absorbed by the industries, those who are dealing with the social events. But students are not interested to go in the exhibition area, or you can say the MICE as a complete industry, they are not interested. So we thought about why not to teach the student with a different angle. And 3 years back when we started with the degree program, the first batch we have given them choice of the specialization as MICE, and none of the students selected that.
Why? Why do you think so?
Okay. Now, coming on that point, basically, people doesn't have the knowledge about what kind of future is there in the exhibition industry in terms of the regular income. What is the general perception among the student, I would like to share? That every day you go, work, get 1,000 rupees, 2,000 rupees, and that is exhibition. This is the general perception of the student which we are handling day to day. And because the experience, or you can say the exposure is not there in that industry, with first time when I receive a call to come on this panel to just discuss, we had a discussion with our team that this is the first time an exhibition industry, they are actually addressing the need of developing the HR. And in future, majority of the companies, those who are dealing, you're actually dealing with the million of, means the requirement in your industry in terms of thousands of students can be absorbed. Sure. But the knowledge is not there amongst the students. Even some of our students, those who are working with the exhibition management, organizers, or I can say mostly the production houses, they are actually taking our student as a project manager. They are working for production managers, but they are not working for exhibition organizers. They are working for production managers. They are dealing with them. So these are the certain areas which we need to address. We actually have one subject completely designed for exhibition. What sir has already explained, the different levels of the certificate programs and then the hierarchies of the education. We already have that, but students are not interested. So we need industry support where I can send the students so you can mentor them. And when you start mentoring, you will get a good number of people. That is the one.
And I have a small question. How do you engage the industry in other events, etc.? I mean, do you have a lot of practical exposure as a part
Absolutely,
of?
sir. Absolutely. We have a lot of practical trainings given. In fact, I would like to share, just you finished with TTF Ahmedabad. My student worked with your organization also.
Oh, wow.
Yes. So we have the coordinators, those who are working with the different companies. In fact, in entertainment area, almost I can say 90% of the companies knows, because from 11 years we are placing students, so all the alumni are there.
And typically, for how long do you place them for practical experience?
No, for
In days
practical
or-
experience, it goes along with the courses.
So is it in days or weeks or months?
No, 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 no. If you have a requirement, you just give me, I want a trainee, I want an intern for 6 months, I am ready to provide you for 6 months.
But is it structured in your course that for
Yeah,
so many
absolutely.
weeks or so many months, one has to take the training?
In our program of diploma, it's mentioned that 160 days, it's a practical training, and 160 days, it's a classroom. And in our MBA and BBA degree programs, we have mentioned that out of your 365 days of education, 180 days you should be on field. Might be you're working as a trainee, or might be you're working as an intern. There is a two different things. In trainees, when I'm saying trainee, they are looking after the operations, last day of the execution of the event. And when I'm saying interns, then they are working with the company for 2 to 3 months or 6 months sometimes. So it depends on the requirement of the company.
So now it's very illuminating. You are already doing it or made a beginning, but then probably as an industry we are found wanting. We have not gone to you to expose our industry like some other guys from events or other sectors of MICE have done. Now I would like to turn to Raghav. Probably you have done some study or something very interesting you would like to share, Raghav?
Yeah, thanks. Thanks for giving me this opportunity to be amongst this, such a dignified audience and such dignified delegates. I'm really humbled to see the, scale at which the international players are taking this industry, the seriousness with which they are taking this industry. I'll just run you through some of the slides. Let's take a couple of minutes. Mahima, can you please assist me with this? Now, see, we all know that exhibition industry in India is growing, because we all know that exhibitions depend upon industries. The economy grows, the exhibition grows. And we all know that India is one of the fastest growing economies in the world. So in 2020, we will be having the highest employable people. We will be having the highest number of youth in the world. But what about the exhibition industry? We are all planning big things for the exhibitions. We have high hopes from the industry. But we must plan for the future. We know that the number of venues will increase, the number of organizers will increase, the number of exhibitions and the vendors will increase. But this growth, both vertical as well as horizontal, requires people. Where will these people come from is the big question. And this is where stalwarts like IEIA have taken the lead to think for the industry, and I really appreciate and salute them. We did a survey, because we are in the media, so we keep doing surveys, and we figured out there's a hidden need in this industry to propel the growth of human resources. Everybody in the survey believed that exhibitions give a push to the economy. And they are, most of them believed it is getting bigger and better. Now just see this. Most of the job seekers, 60% of them believe that this is a jack of all trades and master of none industry. But you go down to the next question, 90% of the organizers and the employers believe that this is the industry. You see, the people who are the job seekers, 60% of them believe, but the people who are the job givers, 90% of those people believe that this is just a average, anybody can be employed for this. So any people, any person can fit in this industry. So such a, it was a drastic kind of a finding that we got from this. Now this is the next slide that we have. This is quite apparent that, people, most of them believe that this industry requires skilled people. I just wonder that when everybody of us appreciate and know, this was a finding which we did, it just baffled us because we never thought we can get such drastic results. Now, most of the people, again, believe with me that they require constant upgrade. I, again, would appreciate IEIA in their role to, start something of this sort. In India, we have done the training program recently this year where we invited people from the industry and they all got together, they learned something. This was just a first step, but everything starts with the beginning. And I hope that IEIA, again plans something like that in the future. Just a moment. Now here, only 10% of the companies do an internal training. Now this is again something which is troubling because if they all understand the importance of skill development, why don't more and more of them, do internal coaching? If there are no outside academies available, why don't most of them engage in this practice internally? And then we ask the question about exhibitor training. Now, if we all understand that, if the industry is to grow, then everything simultaneously has to grow. The exhibitors are a most vital part of an exhibition, and an exhibitor is the best marketeer for your exhibition. So why not organizers go ahead and, plan some kind of a program, some kind of a elaborate checklist like they have internationally to educate their exhibitors how to maximize the value out of their participation in trade shows. Then we ask this most important question that we all are having here, and I'm very happy to see that international players have signed a contract with IEIA. Now, this is the figure that we got, that 95% of the audience say that this kind of a course would be very helpful for the Indian market. Of course, around 40% of the people said that we require it to an extent, which means maybe it may need to be Indianized. It has to see the Indian version of the content. It has to be adaptive, and it has to be molded in the fashion that is more understood by the Indian counterparts. I went through this research. I found out that IAEE is very successful in China, and we must learn from China and Singapore. Singapore, because it's such a small nation, and then it is doing so well in this particular scenario in this industry, and then from China, which is doing 10 times more business than us. Now, this was the findings that I had. We have many options. UFI also runs its courses, and many other courses are available internationally. But in India, we have event management, like Mr. Joshi, just pointed out. But then there are no exhibition-centric things. I would really appreciate if, somebody takes a lead. I'm very happy that Mr. Joshi has taken an initiative. But he must, this is a growing industry. Now he says that last year or a couple of years back, none of the students enrolled for the MICE course. Now, here is where the information, my next slide, please. Here is what we need to do, as a media, as an association, as the leaders of this industry. We must generate interest. We must generate awareness. And we must have a career plan for our employees, which is, I think, a little missing in the middle level and low level companies. Of course, there may be some companies which have a institutionalized growth pattern with them. So what I could put across is that we need to glorify this industry. We have no glory. Like in the last discussion, one gentleman announced that we need to have awards. Now, Exhibition Showcase is planning with the support of course, the Indian leaders, of the industry, with their blessings. We are planning to have awards to honor the top organizers in this industry, which is the need, which is why we need to, publish such kind of reports in the newspapers, on the internet, that this industry is there. You need to appreciate and recognize this industry. So
may I request you to wrap up in 1 minute?
Yeah, sure, just a moment. So just, so we need to have education, internal training, and free knowledge is very important. More and more of knowledge, like blogging, tweeting. To an extent, you know, our industry is such a big industry, Mr. David. Our industry is a very big industry, and you know, this is not the entire industry. This is because people do not understand the value of being here in such a critical platform, which is why many people are not here. But this industry is certainly a very critical industry in India. Yeah. So we are planning many things in the future, which is we have a monthly magazine, we disseminate knowledge to glorify the industry. We are planning awards. For education also, Exhibition Showcase is working on online webinars. You know, webinar is a big thing. If this entire platform can be showcased live to the entire audience abroad, and the people who have not attended this show, they can gain. Next year they can come. If this year they are not here, next year they can come. So these are many things we are planning. Thank you for being patient to, you know, listen to me. Thanks.
Wonderful, excellent. I think he deserves a clap, you know. Wonderful study. How many people you asked?
So this survey was sent to the entire database, but we got reviews from 216 organizations.
260?
Yes.
Oh, that's wonderful. So it's quite enlightening, you know, you talk about glory, as I would call it, also the pride, you know, pride of, and a camaraderie that, okay, I belong to this profession, you know, this has been lacking, I must admit it has been lacking in India, and, you know, we, after having spent best years, 25 years in this industry, I cannot tell my kids to join it with a kind of, you know, pride that, okay, yeah, this is a good business to be in, you know. And probably the solution is some kind of an education program or certification, because that does bring the pride in it and also the camaraderie and the community building. So, Meher, would you like to add anything?
You know, I don't want to repeat anything, but Raghav is bang on. I'll just add to what he said. Like I said, healthcare is another industry which is yet trying to find its feet. It's still unorganized in many ways. What is required, and you'll back me on that, awareness. People, the stalwarts of the industry, need to go to the education institutes, need to go to the universities and talk to the students. Create an awareness that, look, this is the industry that is there, and it's going to grow. Let me give you an example. In Delhi, we've got a couple of the private institutes, okay? And they have started the hospital management courses. How? I had to recruit people for the front office. I needed people. Where do I go? And I can't get expensive guys. I was told, you're not going to get MBAs. I need to get freshers. So what do? I had no other choice but to go to a campus. Those guys had no clue what healthcare and hospital is all about. I mean, they were living in a world of needles, blood, screaming and shouting. But when I showed them that, look, apart from it being one of the most noblest professions, and if you are a front office executive sitting out there, you are the first point of contact for anyone who's coming in, number one. Number two, the kind of exposure, the kind of experience you're going to get in a hospital in terms of dealing with people, and not just any person who walks into a hotel who's happy, but an emotionally charged person. And if you're able to deal with those guys, you can deal with anybody in the world. Sure. So, one, hospital, there's always going to be a demand for hospital. People are going to fall sick. It's never going to die out. Education and healthcare will never die out. They'll always be there. So we need people. To cut the whole story short, after giving them the complete picture that, look, it's like any other corporate, just that it's healthcare, number one. Number two, it's a marriage between hospitals and hospitality. So you have the same stuff that you have in hotels, it's just replicated in a hospital. Remove the paramedics, remove the doctors, remove the nurses, what do you have? A hotel.
Sure. So I want to sort of add there that, look, we in the industry probably have been using these techniques, because this is all we have, to hire people from adjacent areas, you know, so to say. So, you know, we have been hiring people from hotel management, and we have been hiring people from event management, etc. And we sort of tell them that, look, in hotel, what do you do? After all, you check in people. So here you check in exhibitors and check out, and you look after their needs. And though we are not so cushy, you don't have, that much good 5-star environment sometimes in a trade show, especially when it is building up. No good food, no free food, but then we pay well, And that's how we have been attracting some talent from the hotel industry and nearby areas. Some of them are graduates in simply, the commerce and management or even arts, etc. But it's high time we needed some specialized training.
Can I just add one thing?
Yeah, sure.
Something which David said is very, very important. See, the problem is we don't go granular. Everything has to start with a very strong foundation. And the foundation is a blueprint, okay? If you do not put down levels, number one, if you do not have a job description at every level, if you do not have a job description which matches a role, you are writing a prescription for disaster.
Sure. So I would like to, yeah, Katharina.
I just would like to go a step even ahead or before when we say, okay, to make education and we need training, but as you just mentioned that you have this training, but nobody voted for exhibitions. So I think we just have to go a step even further and say, how do we make exhibitions as an attractive job or as an attractive employer? And I think this is really lacking. I mean, we can install as many training programs as we would like to, but if nobody would like to take part in them, I think that's the problem. I think we first have to think about, how to make exhibitions attractive for young, ambitious people who really would like to have a career in this industry.
Perhaps, in my view, maybe it's a kind of a vicious circle or chicken and egg story, where we are not aware of this kind of a course. Otherwise, we would have very well sponsored candidates, maybe our own employees, who are just joining. And so, there would be no question of no opportunity, but probably it's a disconnect. And even if how do you design your course curriculum, So without consulting us, you would not know our needs. So that's where probably, a lot of collaboration opportunity, etc. But, I want to pose a simple question to all the panelists, and I want my answer in maybe one sentence or maybe two maximum. It seems that we have clearly alternative approaches available, which are that we go the Singapore way. We have our own diploma, which is like low entry barrier, like they have professional exhibition manager, and we also have global certification like CEM, certified exhibition manager, etc. But it is not linked to any graduation. Anybody could join, right? Anybody can join professional exhibition management course. You do not have to be a graduate, right? Yeah. And so that's one approach, and the other is the we don't have apprentice approach probably, which is uniquely German. I think it's very good, but probably that is not the best way. But we do have what Praveen is already practicing. A university blended model where you could graduate, or if you are a graduate, you can top up in that specialization. So, and what would you think, which way we should go? Katharina, to start with from that side. One sentence.
I would opt for these this model, 3 months practical training and 3 months at the university and then do a BA. Then you really have a kind of university degree, which I think is very important here in India, to have this academic approach. And I think this is something, we really could sort of even foster with some kind of universities in Germany, where we could do this.
Raghav?
I think the best way for me would be that, we tie up with an event management institute and we run a dedicated course on exhibition management where we provide them 100% job placement guarantee, which is very much workable idea because there is a disequilibrium.
Raghav, may I interrupt? Graduation or certification?
I believe we need a blend of online as well as a short-term programs to start with rather than looking to long-term courses, because we have a very minuscule percentage of people at this moment who may like to connect with this program until and unless we generate enough interest in the people with the short-term courses.
So it's a diploma and certificates,
Yes,
etc., not a
short-term
graduation. Praveen?
For specialization, I suggest diploma. And if anybody wants, apart from the only one industry specifications, if you want to go for the entire event management industry knowledge, he can opt for the degree program. But for specialization, obviously, the diploma. And as far as the training methodology is concerned, what are...
So we restrict to this question, and I think your opinion is both. It's not either or.
Absolutely.
Mayor?
I'd go with what both of them have said. You've got to have a blend of both at this juncture. And I would focus on the diplomas because that's the need of the hour. You need people with a certain amount of background, education, and skill to start functioning. And then at the back end, you start strengthening the wall over there.
Okay, great. David?
We have a lot, we have a lot of different audiences. So if you look at the macro picture, we have ladies and gentlemen that might be 18 to 22 years old at the undergraduate level in hospitality programs, right? So definitely diploma, focus on business skills. Those ladies and gentlemen are the future of our industry. Then you have the wonderful SASIOS model that is all-inclusive, that takes not only university students, but higher level educational opportunities and accreditation. We call it a certification opportunities, like a CMP, like a CMM, and like a CEM. Those type of programs, and UFI's program's outstanding as well. So you've got different levels. You've got entry level, you've got senior level. So I would try to get, this is not easy, is it? I would try to get all of the opportunities and disciplines together and map out a career path from a lady or gentleman who's 18 years old to somebody like me who's 58 years old and I am on my second module of CEM. So you've got to have a blend.
I totally concur with what David says. The diploma and school solution forms the long-term goal. It's a mid to long-term solution. The accreditation and certification is a short to mid-term solution. So you cannot look at it as short to mid-term only or long-term. You look at it both as a hybrid solution.
Wonderful. So I think we have quite a roadmap as a result of this discussion that, look, we have best of both the worlds, so to say. So we have some courses in BBA, MBA, and those who have done their or not done their BBAs and MBAs have spent long years or few years in this industry. They could go for diploma and certificate, etc. So we are going to do that and very soon on behalf of the association, and you heard some announcements in the morning. So wonderful discussion. I'm now going to throw open the house for not only any questions, but also sharing experiences. How do you hire? When you go out in the market, how do you hire people, or any questions? So what I'm going to do, I'm going to come down, and the panel will be here, and you can ask any questions or any comments you may have. And we have an announcement. We have another panelist. Okay. So last but, well in time, Mr. Dilip Chenoy. He's the... He's coming, or we can do some Q&A in between? Oh, yeah. But is he here? Oh, yeah, please. May I invite Mr. Dilip Chenoy. He is the Managing Director and CEO of NSDC, National Skill Development Corporation. Please come up on the stage, sir. NSDC is the apex government body. As the name would suggest, it is about skill development. And thank you very much for making it possible, sir. We have had a wonderful discussion where we deliberated. Please take this chair, please. Yeah, not required. So I'll just, for your benefit, I'll quickly sum up, and for the benefit of all the delegates, that what we discussed here is that exhibition industry needs an academic program which is focused on this industry. We have, our hiring practices are basically around hiring people from adjacent areas like hotel management or event management, etc. But it's high time exhibition industry is mature enough to introduce its own curriculum by way of some diploma, certificates, as well as some degree programs. So, typically in USA and also in Singapore, these are diplomas and certificates, and the International Association of Exhibition Organizers, IAEE, they are represented here. Their chief executive, Mr. Dubois, is there. They offer, they are the apex body which imparts this program called Certificate in Exhibition Management, and which is what probably we are going to start very soon in India, as well as we would continue blending with some of the degree programs like BBA and MBA. So would you like to add anything, Mr. Chinoy?
Thank you, and really apologies for coming in late, but the session kept on changing, so I kept on moving a meeting which was supposed to be after the session to before the meeting, and I got caught up. I just want to actually share in 1.5 minutes, because I don't want to eat up in the question answer time. You know, there's something very unique happening in India. What we are setting up, which are known as sector skill councils, where industry actually sets the standards for the type of people that you want to recruit. So you talked about career paths, you know, and you talked about the blending of certification with degrees, etc. So one of the things, and there is actually a precedence. South Africa actually has a sector skill council which looks and certifies people in the exhibition and related areas. So in India also, we have set up an entertainment and you know, media sector skill council. So IEIA could actually join that, right? And the organization you can model, and what we are modeling ourselves is really, it's known as CAT SETA in South Africa. And while they have actually got different levels, so in India also we have different levels. Level 1 is roughly equivalent of 9th, and level 10 is PhD. And the National Skills Qualification Framework in India is looking at level 1 to level 10. And if you look at what they have done in, let's say, South Africa, for event support is a qualification level 4, then event coordinator is a qualification level 5, and event manager is qualification level 6. So if you help the Media and Entertainment Sector Skill Council develop the occupants, the standards for this, then you can actually launch a very interesting program in India in 2 to 3 months. So this is available in different sectors. For example, in automotive sector, a level 3 will be auto mechanic helper, then level 4 will be auto mechanic, then level 5 will be a supervisor, and so on. So we have 31 sector skill councils, but the sector skill council which meets your requirement is the Entertainment and Media Sector Skill Council. It is housed under FICCI, but it is independent of FICCI, and it's funded by the National Skill Development Corporation. So this is the only thing I wanted to share with you. I don't want to detract from the question and answer session that you had. Back to you.
Wonderful. You know, you have given a whole new perspective that it's like, you know, it's not at one particular level, but probably starting at level 1 to level maybe 6 or 7, if not 9 and 10, which is PhD, you know. So wonderful, you know. So what, yeah, we are going to come around. So yes, have your say.
Dilip, it's fantastic to see you after such a long time. What many people don't know is he's actually a very, very old exhibition hand, one of the experts. Now, my question to you is, having this entire exhibition background and with your new role, can your organization play a more active role with the IEIA to set up this thing?
Sanjeev, I think we need to create more jobs in the exhibition industry for people to be attracted to this profession. I have worked with Viscraft, and you know, I have had people who do events in hotels, and when you tell them to come to an exhibition center, no, we're not coming to the exhibition center because the facilities in exhibition centers are not as good as 5-star hotels. The kind of money and the comforts you have in 5-star hotels are not there in the exhibition centers.
Your point is well taken, Sanjeevani. But what we are experiencing now, that people are becoming smarter, you know, our boys and girls. So they are counting how much they pay, you know.
Yeah, that's important.
And we are able to pay more than hotels, you know. So sometimes in the interview we say that, look, if you just want the cushy environment and free food, this is not the place, you know. So this is the place where you have a lot of heat and dust, especially during build-up, but we pay better. And we are able to attract some good talent, you know. So
but we don't pay better, Sanjeev.
Yeah,
I have been in this
I pay,
industry.
you know, so I have to, because I have, you know, my UBM and Reeds competing with me and Messe Dusseldorf, so I have to pay, you know, what they pay,
Sanjeev,
and it's pretty
in
good
between,
now.
you know that when
Sanjeev, can I just come in here? Let me answer. You know, the challenge is, So today, if you were to work in the exhibition industry and the IT industry, according to you, everybody will go to the IT industry, right? It's more attractive?
I think so.
Yeah, okay. In 1985, 86, 87, nobody wanted to join the IT industry. In fact, people did not even want to invest 10,000 rupees in Infosys. The IT industry actually got together and created training organizations such as AppTech, NIIT, and all the organizations outside of government support, created an image for the industry. So I think this industry needs to actually get together, right, and create that image for industry. I mean, if you're looking at the Kabaddi events, or who would think Kabaddi would be glamorized and people would want to work in the Kabaddi league or things like that? I think this industry needs to make, like you heard one of your council members say, I've been doing exhibitions now for 1985. Last 4 years I've not done any. The biggest challenge is you don't get people to work. And in good exhibitions, and I sent an email to Sanjeev saying, are you going to talk about carpenters and others? He said, no, we're only going to focus on diplomas. But for many exhibitions till 4 to 5 years, if an overseas person wanted to exhibit, he got his staff from Pico in Singapore or Malaysia. Why not from India?
But Dilip, okay, these people do at least 100 exhibitions in Singapore. Do you offer 100 exhibitions in high-tech city or people in Hyderabad? A good professional, would you offer that now?
So Sanjeev,
that's what the industry is all about, no?
We can say it's a chicken or egg question, Sanjeev. It's a chicken or egg, so we can go round and round. Which one first, So I think, we can confidently say that, look, we are in a good position to break this cycle by taking the risk, So today, if this kind of a course starts, I'm going to put 10 of my existing employees, I'm going to sponsor them to be CEM, So this question becomes redundant, And once we are able to get this virtuous cycle, as Ong was presenting, this becomes a virtuous cycle. So we have to reverse the cycle, basically.
Sanjeev,
Any other interventions?
Sanjeev, I totally agree with Dilip and, and the entire panel. What we probably could do is leverage, this is a suggestion, is that we have the ITIs doing courses for various, skills. We can add exhibition skills to those guys, select. We have the NIDs where people do exhibition courses, which we could offer a diploma as an additional thing for exhibition management. So probably, in the panel, we've got gentlemen who have taken the initiative of starting something like this, and maybe we can leverage the ITIs so that we get skilled people.
Yeah, I think, I would like to add a comment here that you see probably the esteem and the employability, and the global employability, if you are a CEM, probably, you would have that esteem and pride that I am globally benchmarked, So I think that's the way to go. And of course, we should have a lot of courses at level 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So definitely, yes.
Dilip, welcome back to Exhibition Fraternity. I am seeing you after, I don't know, maybe 10, 12 years. I completely agree with you. Somehow we have forgotten that National Institute of Design, Ahmedabad, is conducting a course on exhibition design for the last 10, 12 years. And I have been trying to recruit through campus recruitment for the last 2 years, and my success rate is 0. Because I was competing against Oracle, I was competing against TCS, SAP, everybody that came there, and the students were not willing to join Maraform or the exhibition industry. After training in exhibition design, they were not willing to join. They went to other industries. So unless we change the perception, nobody will join. Yeah, it's not the money. I was willing to pay more than Oracle, but still they will not join. Yeah. And I could get, with much difficulty, 2 graduates from CEPT University, architecture, 1 from ISB. So it is so difficult for me to recruit into the exhibition industry good hands. And no IIMs is still not working in exhibition industry.
Yeah, I fully agree. And this esteem and respect can be built as a result of this kind of an accreditation. I used to hear a story, about 15, 20 years back, hoteliering was not so interesting, Like, one would say, oh, ab ye Khansama banne chala, I mean, people would be worried that if you want to be a chef, I think still some people would be worried that my son is going to be a chef, etc. But now, it is a very respectable profession, So probably the education also brings, yeah. Ong, you'd like to add a comment?
Yes, maybe I'm too frivolous in saying this, but this is my first IEIA. Can I ask, is there any outreach program to students in studying mines now or studying marketing, bringing them into the show, or bringing them on the last day of the show to have interaction with industry? Okay, all of us around this room, we are all marketeers. We are all storytellers. We tell our own story very well, be it Marina Bay Sands, be it your particular exhibition to exhibitors. But as an industry, and I ask this same question to our own industry in Singapore, why are we not, as an industry, telling our story well enough to the students? That led to a great outreach. Sure. 4 quarters, once a quarter, in different parts of the campus.
Sure. Like the IT industry does, my story, etc.
Binu, my last show was Auto Expo 2010, so it's not 10 years. Huh? Okay. Just want to actually say that, we are producing, and we've got an advocacy campaign going on. So we would be happy to produce a film about a life story of a person in the exhibition business. We've done it for a security guard, for a person who does gems and jewelry, an auto mechanic, a retail sales associate. And those stories actually attracting people to the, to the industry or whatever it is. So we need to look at an advocacy plan, and that's an IEIA agenda. You got to create that, and then this will follow.
So I'm available, Shena, any time for your story. Thank you very much for that.
I think we need to create more exhibitions also.
More exhibitions, again, chicken and egg, because you see, as an organizer who has done for 25 years, given my best years in this, you see, my problem has been staff, So we have good ideas, but when it comes to execution, it's a non-starter, So in this context, I would like to pose this question to some more organizers present here, especially international organizers. How do you hire? How do you hire in India? So any of the big league organizer would like to talk. How do you hire in India after all? Catherine, maybe you can kickstart.
Yeah, I've just been here for the last 6 months, but I think what we all do currently, all our international exhibitors, we sort of hire each other, so one company more or less goes to the other. That's the way how we do it, isn't it? To be very honest, one starts at Messe Frankfurt, and then he goes to Messe Düsseldorf, and then he goes to us, and then he goes to Reed or whatever. It's more or less like a circle around, and whoever pays better, you get them. But I just would like to add what you just said, Ong Ling. I think we have to do really marketing for our industry, and I think what we have to do is our employees, they have to go out and really tell other pupils, other students, how attractive a job can be in the exhibition industry. And I think we really have to start amongst ourselves of how to make the jobs really attractive. And I think I like your idea that you say, we are storytellers, but we can't apparently tell a story about our jobs. And I think it's very important that we go to universities or to schools and really offer them internships just for a few weeks as a kind of a teaser to make them, hey, this is a good industry, I would like to join.
Sure. So that's very interesting. We hire from each other, and let me tell you, I know from experience, and it has already made the jobs in exhibition industry very sexy, in the sense that we are paying more and more in this hiring process, So we snatch people from each other, and always for a 10 or 15 or 20% hike, and it is already benchmarked with the best pays in any other industry, let's say IT, or sometimes I tell my people, look, I'm paying you as much as let's say a doctor or a pilot or an engineer would get, but why do you think this is not so serious industry, Why don't you do a job with the seriousness of a doctor or an engineer or a pilot, So that's very interesting. Any other comments, interesting comments, sharing of experience, questions? The floor is open. Yes, go ahead, have yours.
Hello. Usually we try to hire middle type of persons, not very intelligent, who look for alternate jobs day to day. Little low profile people, little low profile boys, girls from the colleges, from MBAs, we go for those people and we hire them. So the retention time is, and retention level is very high with us. because they don't have alternate choice with them.
Very good point. You know, I want to build on that, that you see, this is very good point, that look, there are many very bright boys and girls who deliberately don't want to go into something like IT, etc. You know, they say that, oh, it is back-breaking, odd hours, sometimes I have to work the night shifts, etc. So I would rather be in this industry, which is not very dumb. It's not like, you know, I mean, with all due respect, a Bollywood event night kind of an industry. There is some intellectual element in it. There is a lot of knowledge-based driven. The conference and exhibitions are quite knowledge-driven. So, but then not so boring as just working on a computer and, you know. So we are getting a lot of good interest, you know, and some of them who have taken trouble to go and do their graduation abroad, maybe in Singapore, etc., in BBA, MBA, but then to hold on to them, I think, you know, CEM, etc., that is a route, you know. So we need to build. You see, once a CEM, always a CEM, you know. Once a chartered accountant, always a chartered accountant. Once a doctor, always a doctor. That kind of system we don't have, you know. So I have one, I'm sure here we have Michelle. Michelle, can you show up? Yeah. So you're running a course which is quite interesting. So can you give a brief background, what you do, and if you have any suggestions?
Yeah, thank you, Sanjeev. I am representing the National Institute of Tourism and Hospitality Management. This is a very unique institute, first of its kind in India. And we have a blend of hospitality mixed with tourism, which gives our students a cutting edge in the event industry. I'm also the placement officer of the college, and over the past 4 years in this organization, I have dealt with a lot of students. Now, coming to understand from all our delegates and also our reputed speakers on the dais, I sincerely feel that we should have a synergy and demark the graduates from the postgraduates and also the diploma people. Now, this industry doesn't need rocket science, and this is where the challenge lies, not only in the event or exhibition or even in the hotel industry. Now, our courses are BBA and MBA. So I do the placement for both categories.
And so if our association were to engage you into introducing a BBA and MBA with a specialization in exhibitions with a curriculum, suggested curriculum, are you game?
This will have to come through to our management because I'm not the decision maker on that. We are again linked to the tourism department.
Sure.
So it's not my call. But what I would suggest, it's a good cause. Because the student who is passing out with an event management and an exhibition, he has a cutting edge to actually get into both. And what I really go with Madam on the dais, she says we have to make this attractive. Because today we have different groups of students, and it's based on interest.
So may I intervene here, and what is attractive? What is typical pay a BBA or MBA
Now,
expect?
coming to what I've understood over the last 2 years, our students are more deviating into the event industry.
And how much they get when they pass out, when they join first?
Now it depends on the company how much they pay. And again,
Average?
the average salary could be about 15,000.
Okay, pay more.
Yes, for a postgraduate, and a graduate gets about 1,000 or 2,000 less, depends on how smart they are.
Okay.
So it's again based on the HR policy of each company and how smart the student is.
Okay.
But coming to what I would like to say is, a small suggestion from my side, if we can have this exhibition introduced, because as it stands, even the students wouldn't know what this exhibition business is all about. So if we inculcate this into a curriculum when it comes to even linking it with event management, it would be a good future for this industry.
So you mean exhibition and events together?
Yes.
Yes. Good suggestion. So I'm told
one point,
time is up.
Just
so
the last point
please,
I'd like to make, just to throw upon an idea. You know, to inculcate interest in the students, IEIA could volunteer and, invite students from different universities and colleges to such a platform where one particular hour or couple of hours, they interact with the industry leaders, they get to know what the industry is, and they can ask, they can clear off their doubts. So this will generate a lot of awareness in the industry, and definitely IEIA is the best platform for Indian exhibition industry to do that.
Sure. So that gives quite a roadmap, Mr.
I want to give you a 5-point agenda. First, you must create for your industry a career path and a job map of your industry. once you create the job map of the industry, for each level of job, please create a competency matrix. What do you want that person to be? Sure. Right? And what are the, once you have that, then you say, okay, we'll engage with the educational system to ensure that who could deliver programs that meet the competency requirements. And as an industry, you've got to say that we'll only hire people who are certified. Once you take that decision, right, you will stop fishing, you'll start farming.
Sure.
Right? Then the second thing is that within the industry, the fourth point, is that you ensure that even people who are working in your organizations go out and get certified and you enable that to happen. So then you're creating a value for that certificate. I'm using it in a loose term. It could be the diploma, it could be degree, it could be whatever education qualification. And once you collectively start doing that, then you will find a dramatic sea change actually happening. You don't require any government permissions. You don't require to work with, if the tourism ministry supported entities don't want to work, there are a lot of private colleges which are, and I'm coming from 3 of them, incidentally in the hospitality sector this morning, that they could actually do it. Anybody could do it. So I think first you'll have to create a subcommittee. I've also worked in associations. I've worked in associations, so I know how associations work. You create a subcommittee with a dynamic leader with fixed timelines and go and implement this. And the next year when you have the association, get that person up here to actually report progress. That's the only way it'll happen.
We will do. Thank you very much for the suggestion. So it's time to wrap up. If you have a quick comment,
Sanjeev, may I?
Very quick.
Yeah,
30
very
seconds.
quick. See, we spoke about education, we spoke about students. Okay, there's one point which I want to bring out here, which I don't think we touched upon. This is all right. It is about training people who, especially people who are hired by the exhibitors. It's a kind of service that you can provide. All right.
I would like to, I would like to cut you short there because that's a very, very temporary employment, for 3 days, 4 days. And if I'm sure they are some of our best trained, workers, and it requires very little briefing. And, I would say that if we have a training culture for ourselves, I'm sure it is going to have a virtuous cycle downwards also, So we would expect everybody to have some training at least, at the least, Right now, we don't have ourselves good training. So it is like a loose industry which can absorb anyone and without much certification or training, So
just one suggestion.
Yeah, sure.
Don't throw out suggestions. Let that group look at it. If it's a job within the industry, then please do a qualification for it and a standard and let it go.
Exactly.
And also, the interesting thing was how many people actually who do that because they're exposed to the exhibition industry. How many of those people then say, wow, this is a great industry, I want to join the industry, and then chase you for a job? I mean, that's what the dramatic change will be.
At the middle and senior level. And just to your question, one quick question may I ask that, do you have in your country courses for stand hostesses? Unlikely. No. So that's where, it is more about, middle and senior level. That is what we are concerned about, though we would like to train everyone, even if it is just a video course, for just a briefing, So we have like a 10-point briefing for the hostesses, that, okay, do this, don't do this, So thank you very much. You have been an excellent, I would not call audience, excellent participant in this discussion. Thank you very much, each one of you, very eminent panelists, and thank you very much. I think they all deserve a very big round of applause.